everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you're watching us from. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Bold and Brave Conversations with Dr. Loretta. It is, of course, I'm Dr. Loretta, and it is my privilege to be here with you on tonight or this morning, depending where you are. I first want to start out by telling you all about what Bold and Brave is. Bold and Brave is all about people who were bold enough to change their lives and brave enough to walk in it. They made the decision that they wanted to see change or they wanted to have change. So they made the bold choice or decision to change their lives. I want to share with you that the Bold and Brave conference that was scheduled to take place in Charlotte on September the 27th and 28th, due to unforeseen circumstances, we had to move it to March. We were postponing to March the 15th, 2025. It still will be in Charlotte. All our speakers are still be rolling. We'll still have fantastic topics. We just simply had to move the date. So you still have time. If you were planning to come and then you had something planned on that day on the 28th, don't worry about it. You can join us on March the 15th. The ticket prices, everything will remain the same. So we look forward to seeing you in Charlotte on March the 15th, 2025. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to jump right into our conversation. Today, joining us, we have our special guest, Mr. Michael Dutton, who is joining us. He is going to talk to us about bridging the financial gap. I think that's one of those things that I can remember as I'm a little bit older. I can remember financial literacy not being one of those things that was originally taught to us. Financial literacy was really, you take your money, you put it in a bank and you just leave it there. And one day when you retire, hopefully your money will be there. And so we've learned over the years and through time that there are so many other things that we can do with our money to secure our future, as well as gain more assets as we get older. So we're not just dependent on the little money that we were able to save in our bank accounts, or just dependent on the Social Security system. So today, Michael Dutton is going to talk to us about how do we bridge that financial gap. And he's going to also share his bold and brave story about how he bootstrapped it, how he was able to build his own finances through his own business. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in welcoming Mr. Michael Dutton. Hi, Michael.
How are you, Dr. Sanders?
I am well. How are you today, sir?
I can't complain. And so it's good afternoon to you, right?
Yeah. Well, it's good evening for me. Good morning for you. Yes, and good afternoon for everybody in between.
Well, I want to say just thank you for having me on. I've been looking forward to this, to having this conversation with you. I know we've spoken before, and I enjoyed our conversation last time. And the only thing I was sad about is it took 2 weeks before we had another conversation like today. So I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Talking about finances is one of the things. There's two things that I really enjoy talking about. That's finance and mental health. So this is a topic that is near and dear to me, just simply because we did not have access to proper information about how to govern our finances. We were taught, you hide the money under the mattress, you put the money in the bank, but we didn't learn about the other options that would give us dividends on our money or that will help us grow what we have. So today I'm a bit excited to have you here as well. In true form, in bold and brave form, we always start by asking our guests to please introduce themselves, tell everybody a little bit about who you are, as well as can you share your bold and brave story with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Michael Dutton. I'm based out of Atlanta, and I had honestly. My raising, my upbringing was something that, it wasn't one of financial significance, but we had everything that I needed in the sense of love and support, a loving family, a supportive family. And but I didn't know what to do. I didn't know when it comes to financial literacy. I didn't know um, how to create new income. I didn't know how to um, manage the income that I had. And I was actually working a job while I was in college. Um, I was in a restaurant, and I started out there washing dishes. And the gentleman that was the general manager came to me one day. He was just getting to know me, and I told him, like, I don't want to keep doing this. I mean, I know I'm going to college, but even while I'm here in school, I don't care to wash dishes for the next 4 years. And I don't even like doing it for the 30 minutes it takes at home, much less for here for 8 hours. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I was telling him that I wanted to, move up. I wanted to do something more. And he took me under his wing. And within 9 months, I took over the restaurant. I was the general manager there. And,
Mm.
um, I went through their training. I did everything they told me to do. And I thought I was ready until my first day. And I realized, well, I was trained, but still didn't know what to do. And, but through that process, I learned a lot about managing other people's money, how to manage my own, and,
Yes.
having a budget, staying within budget. Did I do it perfectly? Of course not. Um, but that's where I learned. And, and then through those things, let me take another step back. Sorry, I got a little ahead of myself. So, but it was in that restaurant that, even though I learned a lot about how to manage money, how a budget works,
Yeah.
Even in the sense of how cash flow works, because you can have a company making money and not have cash flow. So, um, or be negative in cash flow in that regard. So, anyways, in that position, though, while I learned a lot and I'm grateful for it, it was there that I realized the life that I wanted to give my kids, because I just had my son when I took
Yeah.
over the store, and the life I wanted to give them, I had to do something more than just staying in that restaurant. I had to create
Yeah.
something, and that led me on an entrepreneurial journey that led me to this point where, um, you know, where I have Dutton Sales Group, and started it June of last year. And, we've grown over this last week. We've added another 15 salespeople onto our staff, and
Mm.
it's just been growing exponentially. But referring back to bootstrapping, that's exactly what I had to do to get to this point. And, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if you can agree with me, but you never kind of lose that mentality of having to bootstrap it, right? We're cash flow positive, but
Mm.
you're still having to apply and use those same principles. So I don't think you ever get away from it. Might get a little bit easier, but you never get away from
Yeah.
it.
I think one of the grand things about bootstrapping is you actually learn your processes, your process. You learn how to handle money. You learn your bookkeeping. You learn advertising. You learn everything you need to know about your business when you're the one initially starting it and going through. And I recently shared with someone I had um, an, a branding kind of situation. And I was thankful that I caught it at this stage. Do you know? And
Yeah.
that's the great part about bootstrapping is you actually get a chance to learn how to manage your finance, your money, and handle situations. And so with your business, you call you Dutton Group is your business. Can you tell us a little bit about what types of things that you do with Dutton Group?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started it out of a problem that I had with the
Mm.
business I had before. So if I could just quickly go to that. So
Yeah.
I had an insurance brokerage that we grew pretty rapidly. Um, we grew from just me knocking on doors to over 100 agents across 6 states. And when COVID hit, uh, we lost our momentum. And um, and when I say we lost, it wasn't a gradual losing. I mean, it just stopped. So we we worked with individuals over 65. And when COVID hit, um, well, 9 months before COVID hit, I actually had an injury, and where I tore the ACLs and MCLs in both of my knees simultaneously. So when I was literally knocked on my butt, I was physically knocked on my butt, and I couldn't go
Yeah.
door to door, and it slowed the business down. Well, by the time that I physically, literally got back on my feet, COVID
Mhm.
hits. The governor or the Department of Insurance says you can't meet with anyone over 65, and that was our only audience. Our only customer was over 65. It, as you again, as you can imagine, it really stops the momentum. I mean, not gradually, it stopped it, and sales stopped. And then we pivoted into trying to teach individuals how to use Zoom that weren't custom or used to using it
Yeah.
prior to COVID. And that learning curve took so much time that it slowed us down even more, even to the point where I was looking for someone to step in and help. And I spent a lot of time on Google searching for assistance. My mentor in the business, he had actually retired right before COVID. Um,
Mhm.
He'd been doing it 35 years um, at that point. So I don't blame him for retiring, but they didn't help me
Yeah.
any. And so um, I was looking for help, and all I could find when I Googled for help, I found 1,000 number one world sales trainers. There's 1,000 number one people, and they would help me as long as I paid the 25,000 up front or the $100,000 up front.
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
And when your revenue stops, even if you have that cash, which at that point I hadn't had that cash, but even if I had it, when revenue has completely stopped or trickling in, it's really hard to just, yeah, here's 100 grand. What can you do to help me? And
Yeah.
so it was at that point, I thought, if there was someone that could just come in and help, I would give them a piece of the pie, or I would, whether it be equity or give them a piece of
Yeah.
each sale, just something where they'd have the motivation to keep helping me. And, because, you can send someone money
Yeah.
online and they might be legit. They might help. I'm not saying they won't, but you have no
Yeah.
idea where that's going. And
Correct.
so I thought of, how great of an idea it would be if someone was just there to help, right? And
Okay.
they took a piece of the pie as they helped you, commission based essentially. And I couldn't
Mm.
find anything. Well, I did find one as long as I gave him 10,000 up front. So again, it didn't actually solve my problem that I
Yeah.
had.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I did go into a transition time where I was trying to figure out what do I do. I went and got a regular job uh, delivering packages for FedEx. And while I was on that truck every day, what do I do? What do I do? I'm not doing this forever. You know, I, I just
Yeah.
toted, I just toted a 100-pound box up some stairs. I'm not doing this forever. I barely did it that time alone, much less forever. Right. Uh,
Mm-mm-mm-mm.
so I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And that's where Dutton Sales Group was born. I was um, not in any structured format, but I was helping some friends that own businesses. They were needing help with sales. So I would step in, give them some strategies, give them some ideas. And when the ideas were working and I was having success with them, and again, I wasn't even charging them anything. I was just being a
Right.
friend, trying to help. Um, I was on a call getting a report back of something that I suggested, and they told me that it
Yeah.
helped them. And they told me their success. And I'm like, that is so exciting. I was so excited for them. I was happy for them. And I closed my laptop and I'm like, what am I good at though? I've got to find something to do. What's my next thing? And then that's when I realized it's like, dummy, this is it, right? This is my next thing.
Yeah.
I could be that
Yeah.
person I needed a couple years ago. And that's where Dutton Sales Group was born. It was um, answering a problem that I had and just going out and helping other business owners, entrepreneurs. So Dutton Sales Group does just that. We come alongside entrepreneurs, we
Mm.
come alongside business owners. They could be in the beginning stages or they could be an established company. They could have a sales team or they could be at a point where they can't afford
Right.
one. We do the same thing with each of them. We come in, we help them find prospects, we present their product to those
Mm.
prospects, and then we help them close the deals. And we take a portion of this of their net sales. So So we're not eating into their gross
Yeah.
revenue. We're not eating into their profit that much, and we're just helping them grow their businesses. And it's been something
Right.
that has grown rapidly, a lot quicker than I thought it
Yeah.
would. And that's what we do, and that's where we're at.
I think I can understand why it would have grown, because even myself as an entrepreneur, there are some services that I need help with, and you're looking for it, and people want to charge you large sums of money to help, or to in it's kind of like every entrepreneur knows that beginning part of the journey is you work long hours with little pay, or
Mhm.
if any pay at
I was about to say,
all.
if any.
If any pay at all, you're sending emails from the time your feet hit the floor to the time you go to bed at night, and you're communicating with people, trying to sell people on your idea. So I can definitely see how Dutton Group actually can be helpful, especially to entrepreneurs, people who are just beginning to start their own businesses and need a little bit of assistance. So, and part of your story, as you were sharing your bold story, one of the things that I thought about while you were talking is how um, need sometimes is the mother of all inventions. Necessity is the mother of all inventions, because we get to a place where we realize we need something and the need is not being met. And
Right.
if we have the skill set, then we fill it in. And I think it was brilliant of you to actually start charging people for it. I tell people all the time, I'm all heart, which really does not help, because I'll be like, "What you need? Okay, baby." I give the information and be like, "Oh, you did it! Yay!" And get nothing for it. So there's many times I wish I would have done what you've done. So today our topic is really about, filling that financial gap. How do you fill that gap? And I think you share with us really a story of perseverance, how you didn't give up and how you kept going until you found your place. And I believe I read in your bio that right now your company is handling up to $150 million in assets. Is that, or something around that?
So the sales team that we've built
Mm.
together, they've done combined 150 million in transactions in their careers, bringing them together. So we have we haven't hit that necessarily on our transactions, but our team as a whole has. Yes.
So here's the question. What part did your mindset play? Because you and I, we spoke before, and we talked about the ups and downs of the journey. And even now you shared a little bit of the ups and downs of your journey. So what part did your mindset play in becoming this group today, becoming who you are today?
Oh, every bit of it. I mean, it's I want to say it's 100% mindset, um, because I remember back in the restaurant where we were having success as a restaurant. The that store was growing in sales, um, and we were going places. But at that time, though, even though I knew I was not there's anything wrong with being in that position, I knew I was meant for something more. I knew I could do something more.
Yeah.
I knew I could do something bigger. But all my mind knew was the four walls of that store, and I had no
Mm.
idea of what else was out there. I mean, yeah, you can drive down the street and see, 100 businesses, depending where you're at.
Yeah.
You can see 100 different industries on your street or just down the street.
Right.
But when you don't see how you fit in, it means nothing.
Yeah.
When you don't see
Yeah.
how you can bring value to them, it means nothing. Because again, all I could think of was about the four walls of that building, and okay,
Hmm.
how do I gain financial independence within these four walls? And you know, um, and it was limited in those four walls. So because there's only so much food you can serve, there's only so
Yeah.
many hours you can be open, no matter how many people you have on your team. So yeah, mindset has everything to do with it. Because if you don't think it's possible, you're never even going to try.
People who One of the things that I've learned and I've discovered is that people who have a little struggle with giving up the little to get more, right? You understand what I'm saying? It's
Yes.
like I have $50 and I'm not giving this $50 to move to the next level. So when it came down to you deciding that, okay, look, I'm ready to start my own business. I'm going to help people. What was the key factor or the deciding factor that said, okay, I can't stay here financially. I need to make these moves in order to improve my financial future?
Yeah. So mine, I guess mine was really when I got into sales to begin with. So
Mhm.
I started on the sales side. I started in the auto industry selling cars, and I was actually connecting with a guy I was in college with, and he was telling me what he was up to, and we are just reconnecting because we hadn't seen each other in a couple of years. And I was telling him, so look, I'm stuck. I don't know what in the world to do. And he told me he goes, why don't you come work for me? Why don't you come sell
Mm.
cars? And but I said, well, first of all, I said yes. I said yes because I was sick. It's so cliche, but I was sick and tired of being sick and tired,
Sick.
right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you know, and then I looked another part of that. Not only was I sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I looked at what I was doing and the street that I was working on with the restaurant I was in. There were another 30 restaurants. So if I go try something new and it doesn't work, I have plenty of opportunities. I have plenty of places I can come back and do and just come back and do this and just pick up where I left off. So,
Yeah.
um, so I went to go work with him. I worked with him for a day because in my mind, I was so excited to get out of the rat race or the trap. Not even a rat race at that point, but
Mm.
to get out of that
Right.
trap. Um, I committed and then did a research and then I did a Google map, see where he was at, and he was like 3 hours away. Um, but he got me into yeah one way.
Good. Huh?
So yeah,
Yeah.
so I just went and found a dealership closer to home. But um, so I was tired of being sick and tired, and then I looked at if it doesn't work, and I'm not successful at this. How easy is it for me just to come back and do this, right? What's I asked that, and I ask another question of if if it all fails, what's the worst that's going to happen? And if the worst happens, what do I do to get out of it? And if I have a plan to get out of the worst case scenario, and I know I can overcome the worst case scenario, why not? I mean, why not try? And so that's pretty much how that happened.
So I think that's a key to it too, is getting over how you may think that people will perceive you, because that's where the only reason why we would be a little hesitant is the shame, or people, the guilt of, if I do this and it don't succeed. Because there's always somebody, you always, without fail, you're going to have that one person or somebody who's going to be in your ear telling you, don't do it. This, go back to the restaurant because that is the safe place. And so just being to that place where you're like, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And if this doesn't work, then there's always this down the street that I can do. And that's where the bravery comes in at, is when you make that decision that if this doesn't work, then I can do something else. Because those require you to put aside your personal feelings, your the judgment that you may get from others, and even knowing that there's a possibility that something may not get paid while you're trying to figure that thing out, while you're trying to work it out. So that's where the bravery comes in at, where you have to make those decisions to walk past those kinds of things. With the Dutton Group, I'm going to switch gears for a second. With the Dutton Group, you said that you help entrepreneurs, or early business owners, you help them find investors, you help them um, marketing and all those kinds of things. What is the benefit of someone using someone like the Dutton Group to help them bridge the financial gap that they may have in their business or in their homes?
Yeah, that's a great question. So um, there's a couple things that there's a couple benefits. First,
Mhm.
first you're having someone to for a sounding board. I have several clients where, we're not even talking about sales. It's a product idea, it's a product improvement, um, it's a price point, and it's just
Right.
having a sounding board because I'm sure when you start something, you know, you may have your family behind you supporting you,
Yeah.
and you could have 1,000 people strong behind you, but it can be lonely. It can be hard. You're having to
Yes.
overcome self-doubt. You're having to overcome insecurity. You're having to overcome, asking yourself, am I crazy for doing this? And the answer
Yeah.
is yes, you are crazy for doing it, but that doesn't mean you don't do it. Like
Yeah.
so there's the soundboard, right? The having the sounding board, having someone in your corner that knows exactly what you're going through because, you know, as a business owner myself, I'm going through the same things you're going through. And honestly, my group has grown to the point where I mean we're growing rapidly, but some of the things that I faced when I first started, I'm still facing it now. It's just it
Mm.
might be on a bigger scale. It might be different in priority in the sense of something I stressed out about before, really high stress levels about before. I may stress out now, but just not as high. And the things that
Right.
I wasn't worried about before, now they're what I'm stressing out the most about. So it's having someone in your corner. That's a big benefit. Honestly, I think having someone in your corner that is cheering for you, rooting for you, and that it has been where you're at and is currently where you're at.
Yeah.
I believe that sometimes that's almost as valuable as the money you can make.
Yeah.
And then you have also having more people on your team, in the sense of multiplying your efforts, right?
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, you can only send so many emails, you can only make so many phone calls, you can only have so many conversations, you can only have so many presentations on your own. Even with technology, yeah, you can record a webinar and push it out, but at the end of the day, you can still only as one person do so much, and it
Right.
takes a team. It takes, they say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a village to build a
Yeah.
business.
True.
And when you're working with us, we're that village, right? You're having me.
Hmm.
You're gonna have We have our sales directors who are working with you as well, and then we have our salespeople. We're coming
Right.
alongside you. We're helping you. We're multiplying your efforts. We have one of our clients right now that over this last week, we've sent out over I think I looked at it right before I got on here. I think over 150,000 emails that we've sent out.
Wow.
We've generated over 19,000 leads last week for our clients. So
Mm.
so you have the coaching, right, or the coach in your corner, the support in your corner, um, and the support is not coming based off of theory, right? You can learn a
Right.
lot from the book, but when all your advice comes from pages and not from the footwork, from actually boots on the ground doing it yourself, there's the advice is different, right? So
Right.
um, you're getting advice that's not just theory; someone's in the trenches with you, and then you have someone multiplying your efforts of getting your message, your brand, your product out there.
So, since let me ask you this though. Are you international or are you just in the US for those who may be watching from other
Yeah,
parts of the world?
yeah. So we have 37 clients currently, um, with and a little over 6 billion in contracts right now. Um, and we are in the U.S. We have clients in the U.K. as well, and then we're actually in negotiations, talking with some clients actually in Dubai. So we are international, and
Mm,
um, so yeah, we can help you almost anywhere.
I think that would be fantastic. So, as we are talking about bridging the financial gap, and this is basically the financial gap, as we're talking about bridging the financial gap and how people can improve their finances, especially because we've talked a lot about entrepreneurs and we've also talked about those who we spoke to people who may be willing to or may not be willing to, let me say, push past the hurt and push past the disappointment and just go for it. You know what I mean? Just understand and know that if it doesn't work, then I can always go back and get a job elsewhere. So if we've spoken to all of that, so what I will do is I will leave the last thought and the final recommendation with you for the people who are watching us today. What would you recommend, or what would you say to them about bridging the financial gap? What do they need? What should they do? How should they do it? It's all you. I'll leave it with you.
Yeah. So I would say a couple things. Uh, First of all, just be intentional. You have to be intentional. No matter where you're at right now, you uh, map out your future, right? Where do you want to go? Where do you see yourself? In the next few years, in the next year, the next 3 years, then do the math backwards. Okay. So you see where you want to go, then determine how you're going to get there. What do you need to do to get there? And then just start doing it. I mean, it's that simple. I mean, it can be difficult. It has its challenges. It can be hard for sure. But again, you just set a target, do the math backwards, see what you need to do to get there, and then just start doing it. Take baby steps to get to from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. So that would be my advice.
Amazing. Thank you so very much, Michael, for sharing yourself with us today, as well as so much great information. If you are an entrepreneur and you are looking to upscale your business, or if you're someone who is just starting out and you are looking to get the information you need to begin your business, the Dutton Group is there to help you do as such. As Michael has been one who started from the ground and worked his way up, he's familiar with what it takes in order to make and sustain a successful business in today's market. So if you have any any questions, or you would like more information, please feel free to contact Michael at the Dutton Group. You can find his website at duttongroup.com, or you have his email, which is on the bottom of the screen. Michael, we want to thank you again so much for joining us today, and you have an absolutely magnificent, wonderful rest of your day. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in for Bold and Brave Conversations today with Dr. Loretta. We have Mr. Michael Dutton from the Dutton Group, who shared with us all about how he in his business and how he can help entrepreneurs upscale their business and take their business to the next level. And we thank him so very much for joining us. But before we go, I want to remind you that the Bold and Brave Conference that was taking place in Charlotte on September the 27th and 28th has been postponed. We are moving the date to March the 15th, 2025. The mental health first aid course, for those of you who are interested in mental health first aid, we're going to offer it online, so that way we can give everyone around the world an opportunity to get hold to this wealth of information. So be on the lookout for that. So again, we have Bold and Brave Conference happening on March 15th, and be on the lookout for the date for the mental health training that will take place virtually. Remember, I love you, but God loves you best. Have an absolutely beautiful, magnificent rest of your day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.